And I think we're headed down a pretty nasty road in regards to that. I believe, and I believe the evidence points to, that it's the prohibition of drugs that supports organized crime. To me, it seems like an awful, it's just a weird position that both the police and politicians, as well as the heads of these Asian triads and biker gangs, all want drugs to be illegal. They all have a vested interest on both ends. The police and politicians make money and helicopters and FLIR and all these new raids and money for private prisons, which we're now starting a philosophy like that. And then on the other end, the criminal element would never want a police officer to stop busting people for pot, or any other drug for that matter, as well as they wouldn't want a politician to make it legal or repeal the prohibition. It would destroy the risk premium, their cottage industry, and the way they avoid, and it's almost systematic tax evasion. We're allowing these people to openly grow and smoke, and there are grow-ups at 99% more than we could ever bust, even if we put a lot of money towards it. And yet it's almost encouraged. It's almost like politicians are supporting organized crime directly. It's not even indirect. It's a handshake from, members of parliament right to the members of the biker gang.
Like
the
last one in the Hells Angels.
They might as well be shaking hands, because that's exactly what's happening. They're encouraging a system where I need to go to the streets to find my product, that there's risk associated with it, that they can make a product that literally be worth pennies on the pound. Things like wheat and barley are only a few dollars per ton. And yet that's what it would literally legally cost to grow marijuana in this country. Yet it's $200 an ounce. In some places it's upwards $300, $400, $500 an ounce. It used to be equivalent to the price of gold ounce per ounce before. Yeah, and then that's also another conservative issue, which is fiat currency and the way our economy is being run, where they can just print and print and print and spend as much money on this moral campaign to outlaw drug use, where they're not going to have any success. The only success would be making it legal, having a rational approach, teaching people how to use it responsibly. If they want to avoid it, that would possibly be the best thing you can encourage people to do, is abstinence. But I don't think you can encourage abstinence at the force of a gun. I think people feel ripped off in that way, that I don't have the right to use it, it's only a plant, it's only an herb, that kind of relationship exists in our society. And it breeds a disrespect for law enforcement. I'm a big fan of police. I like what they do. I think that in regards to them risking their lives every day to protect the safety of the communities that they protect, I don't think they can do that with prohibition in place the way it is. I think that they're being both stifled on both ends, that all of us that use cannabis, that if we ever get pulled over one day, the fear is always, oh my God, do I have a roach in my ashtray? Do I have a joint in my, in my pocket? Are they going to catch that piece of hash I have on me? Without actually thinking, that we could actually have a meaningful dialogue, regardless of the reason I was pulled over, and have it be done respectfully and legally, without all that fear factor of getting arrested and having this external force brought upon us. And then everything else that Aaron was mentioning, the thing that bothers me, like, I've had CAS come after me when I was younger. I'm 30 now, but when I was 22, I opened up a marijuana cafe in Hamilton, Ontario, and I tried to tell a police officer that my aunts and uncles, and my aunt at the time is a school teacher for a high school in Hamilton, and my uncle is a surgeon. My wife at the time was in the surgical trauma unit. She's a registered nurse. And all these people smoke cannabis. And on I could go, from businessmen to accountants to lawyers to teachers, doctors, nurses. And I told them this, and I told them that I use cannabis every day. And I also have, at the time, it was a 1-year-old son. And the next day, he put in a report to the Child Services that just my use of cannabis. And then for the next 3 months, I had CAS. I invited in the Hamilton Spectator, CH News, 900 CHML, to prove that I owned my own home at the time. I bought my own house when I was 20, but unlike me, most people have their lives devastated by the drug war, by prohibition. People lose their children on a daily basis. People lose their loved ones. Imagine how many children have parents that are in a jail cell right now. Those other 55 people I mentioned earlier on ranges right now. And all they could have been doing is growing a few plants, or maybe a few hundred plants. But the incentive for them to do that wouldn't have existed had we had a tax regulate society, where from the production to the point of sale, there be some sort of regulation. Most people, I think, would honor that. The way you can't have an open 2-4 after you buy it. The way various other, restrictions on packaging. If I was to buy cannabis, it would have to be sealed until I got home. Who knows what the laws would say? But at least those regulations would come with some sort of punishment that would be deemable to society. Whereby, if this was a place that sold cannabis, like a CCBO instead of the LCBO, this place would risk losing its license if you let anybody in here that was 17, or if the age limit was 18, or if it was 19. For instance, the LCBO prides itself every year that they deny somewhere in the range of 175,000 sales a year in Ontario. I'd like to see the same thing happen for cannabis. I'd like to see that if they came in drunk, if they came in whatever, if belligerent or underage, or various other things that don't meet with the regulations, that the sale cannot be made, and that we could promote these numbers as being a reasonable way to conduct a society, where we allow people the individual rights to use whatever they want. We have sovereignty rights where if you engage in a crime in this country, you're punished by a group of your peers in the country that you did it, and all these things are what I'm trying to advocate to the Conservative Party. That actually, I believe that it's more of a conservative value to repeal prohibition than it is a liberal or socialistic one. I don't believe they want the same things we want as on the right end of the spectrum. They don't believe in individual rights. They believe in like an oligarchy of a government. They want more big government. They want more institutions. I don't think Conservatives want that. I think Conservatives would be happy with standard regulations at the provincial and municipal level, where at the federal level we respect individual rights.